Hello, welcome to this vlog. I recently finished this picture, realized that I'd spent so long on it that Procreate had recorded an 8-minute time lapse of it. And then I thought, hey, I could do some rambling over the top of it. Here we are. This is not what the final picture looks like. I just did some scribbles and then abandoned them, which is fair because I don't think they were very good. This is the final idea. I am very messy with my sketches. I don't understand / I'm envious of people who can like sketch neatly. It's definitely not me. But you know, this looks #real or whatever. The people I'm drawing are three of my original characters. This artwork was made basically as a hypothetical daydream illustration of what the cover of my book could look like. The book that I'm in the middle of writing, if you take a liberal definition of middle, the book that I'm working on, in a few words, sex, drugs, and indie rock, featuring vampire band turned accidental vigilantes, also featuring bisexuality in spades. Where was I? Let's go back to talking about the artwork. I'm neatening up the sketch because, you know, obvious reasons. The first sketch, which was great for like maintaining gesture and, you know, motion and a sense of energy and not being too stiff, was also messy as fuck. So I need to neaten it up for my own sanity, being able to pause it. So I decided to go for a style that's pretty shape-based, but does feature a fair amount of line art for being a not super strong line art piece. You'll see what I mean when I start doing the lines. At this point, I'm just drawing each character on its own layer. That's just seems sensible for obvious reasons. These aren't the final colors. They're close to the final colors that I had imagined at this point. But what matters was just getting the shape down. And I picked colors that had greater contrast than I would eventually want, just so, you know, I could have a very clear picture of what was going on while filling in their shapes. Here's the line art I was talking about, the line art component. I wonder if I should have... this isn't an eraser or rubber. No one calls it a rubber when it's software, Jesus Christ. I have too many dialects of English in my head, so I thought, you know, eraser, rubber... I can just say both. Being very #internationally minded or whatever. But then I realized that only really applies to the physical object. When it's the software tool, it's just the eraser. So, never mind that. You can see that I've decided to give Sasha, who's the character on the left, jeans. And I'm quite happy with how I've drawn them, but it just didn't feel right because... this trio is composed of 2 girls and a guy, and I wanted their genders to be clear, which is why they're wearing very unadventurous regarding gender stereotypes clothes in the final piece. I just wanted their genders to be read correctly, and I felt like this was just too ambiguous. So it didn't hit the vibe that I was going for, the particular aesthetic. So I ended up changing it. Here I'm drawing in so much detail Ray's boots, which, however, if anyone recognizes these, let me give you a virtual high five. These are the John Fluvog abstract candy boots, basically. Pretty much based on them. I own a pair of the Cubist cupcakes, which is the ankle boot version of these, and I love them. This post is not sponsored by them. I wish... I just really like their boots. This dress that I've... excuse me, also, sorry if I laughed really loud then. That wasn't really funny. And sorry if your eardrums suffered. This dress that I have Sasha in... Well, I tried a dress and then I didn't feel like it was working, so it became shorts. For a brief moment, they were checked shorts, and I think I quite liked that, but I just ended up not going for it. I don't remember why, because I did all this months and months ago, and then like, basically was paralyzed by too high expectations and perfectionism. And, you know, I was just finding it difficult to work on this. It felt like a strain, so I just left it and then picked it up again like yesterday, a month later, like 2 months later. Or even more, I don't remember. And then realized, you know what, this is a lot more done than I felt it was earlier, or a lot more close to done than I remember it being. I'll just finish it off. So that's what I did. This is just filling in the colors. I have like each color block on its own layer. So on Sasha on the left, there's like the base layer, which is the shape, and then a layer for the clothes, the boots, shorts, and top. Later on, I'm going to split those out into their own layers for ease. But at this point, they were just on their own, and that's fine because, you know, they are all the same color. And now there's going to be me playing around with lots of shades of like dark brown and grey and black, trying to find like colors that are legible in terms of contrast compared to each other, and also like still look good, have the vibe that I'm going for. We've now reached the part that I picked up yesterday, which was like adding the background and starting to play with lines properly on Ray's skirt, which was giving me a lot of trouble. Those lines originally started as trying to experiment with like a slit up the side of her skirt, but then I just drew the outline and thought, oh, this could kind of work as an outline suggesting like the folds of a skirt that's made of like velvet, for example, or something like that, or just a embroidered design. Either way, it works. I want to talk about what's on the screen. I've been talking about Ray's skirt when you can't see it. Apologies, you'll see it soon. As you can see, I changed Killian's boots because the Chelsea boot design just wasn't doing it for me. And I like the lace-up ones because I remember that I'd written in my manuscript that he has lace-up boots, so yeah. But drawing in all the laces on him just looked a bit weird, and I like this solution of just drawing in some of the lines, which, you know, adequately suggests their form without outlining all of them. It's like how in many art styles, if you outline all of the teeth, it looks janked. And so you just kind of selectively outline. I like that strategy. The rest of this video is just me playing around with the background. I am obsessed with this color palette, which is why I spent so long with it. This peachy pink orange sunset vibe, very into it. But at some point I decided that actually it would work better if it was light. And I realized this when this swirly pattern in white looked good, but also looked a bit like bird shit. And blood is definitely more of the vibe that I was going for. Because this isn't gonna make anyone accidentally think of bird poop. So yeah, this is my edgelord book cover, which I'm very pleased with. And there we go. It's fun to make things for yourself. I feel like I'm on an educational show or something, doing a very didactic moral of the story at the end. But whatevs. I've had some thoughts, and now that the video is not going, I feel less stressed and can maybe think more because I'm not paying attention to the image. I'm very tired. I'm very sleep deprived. I'm not in an optimal mental state for this, but I had the sudden idea to record this vlog, and I knew that if I didn't do it now, I just never would. So I'm recording the audio. Yeah, that's my process. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. If you liked it, do the things. You don't need to know what they are, you know. You're a wise denizen of the interwebs. I'm very sleep deprived, and I'm going to go and do something else now. I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know what you think, and have a good time. And pretend that I said a sign-off that was funnier / wittier and less, just less, yeah. Alright. I'm gonna go. Why are you still listening to this? I'm doing the version of, I'm doing that thing where you leave a disastrous voicemail that's in sitcoms. I've not done that in my life, but I feel like I'm now doing this on my own art vlog video. Performative authenticity. This isn't performative authenticity. This is genuine authenticity that I am using for performance. Important distinction. Cool. I'm gonna go now. Have a good rest of whatever time of day you're having.